definitely hands down for that one.
All right. Well, hey, Pat, if you want to stick around, feel free. We're getting ready to transition right now into some NFL free agency right now, just to cap off this special night right now. I know Chicago Bears right now, the whole town is in an uproar right now. Once again, right now, the elusive quarterback position the Bears have not had for years. I mean, when you think of the history of the Chicago Bears, there's probably four names that legitimately stick out in the history of this franchise. You probably think of guys at that position that were rarely around. Sid Luckman. You can maybe argue Jim McMahon, even though he was part of the Super Bowl team. Not much starting material, but still iconic for people to remember him by. I'll probably say Eric Kramer, and then, like him or not, I mean, even though he didn't make a Pro Bowl, but he was still statistically one of the great quarterbacks to throw the ball, despite not having much winning success, Jay Cutler. Right now, the Bears once again just struck out on Deshaun Watson, but probably maybe for their benefit right now, he's got a legal accusation going on with some women. I don't know how much that's going to affect his trade market, but also too, Bears, I want to say they probably came like 75% close from trying to trade for Russell Wilson right now from the Seattle Seahawks. They're hot on the trail for. Seattle Seahawks don't seem like that the Bears got much to offer for that position right now. Instead, they got Andy Dalton to a one-year deal, I think potentially up to $13 million where he could earn with the Bears as the quarterback right now. Former Bengal, and of course, Cowboy from last year. I don't know how much, if they're going to still go for a quarterback in the draft, they're going to trade up for someone. But I think Bears fans got to be frustrated for the fact that we're putting the trust once again. The ball is back in Ryan Pace's corner. Can he draft a franchise quarterback? If not, we'll have Andy Dalton 4 years later.
This is bad. Like, it's bad, man. I don't even know where to begin, man. Like, they haven't been the same since the Lovie Smith era, man. They haven't. Since that era, that's it. Like, I don't care who you hire, Trestman and all that. It's just been bad. Pace, they should have let Pace go. They should have, like, just clean house. Because the fact that Trubinsky, believe it or not, he never had a pick six going back the other way. His whole career, he has not had a pick six, which how many quarterbacks as of right now has that? The whole back and forth between Nick Foles and Trubinsky, dude, it's bad. It's just they didn't need him. They didn't need Foles as a backup. They actually could have got Andy Dalton for free agency for a lot cheaper instead of picking up Foles last year. They could have actually got Dalton off of free agency and already had him. Instead, now they're paying him even more from picking him up from Dallas to bring him over. But, dude, the Bears are in a position where they can't do nothing. But honestly, I'm going to say this. They're going to turn into the Cleveland Browns of the old because they were so far behind. They're so far back with draft picks that they're not going to be able to do nothing for the next 5 years just because of all these trades. Because technically, Seattle wanted a starter. So with Andy Dalton being a starter, they can technically still trade Andy Dalton to Seattle, but they still have to give up first round, second round, and the third round, which is still way too much. And I think Russell, even though he had a great offensive season, I just think, they should have wasted the money that they got from Nick Foles or paid Nick Foles to buy the pieces that they needed. But there's something going on between Trubinsky and that head coach that we don't know of, because why would you sit a healthy starter and the numbers were up and then you want to put Nick Foles in whose numbers were just garbage? So that magic's over. When he won with the Eagles the championship, that magic was over. You're trying to rekindle that back in Chicago? Sorry, brother. No, it's not going to happen. You had that first good season with all these trick plays and everything. Then you lost in the playoffs because of a field goal hitting the goalpost, the double doink. But I think, honestly, the Bears just need to basically clean house from the top management and just Pace got to go. All they got to go. It's like almost like the Bulls with Paxton. You kept passing around way too long that the Bulls can't even do nothing with that franchise. Nobody wants to come here because of that. So it's almost in that same similarity. It's like you got to get rid of them. You got to get rid of them before. But the thing is, that's why I play fantasy football, because I don't invest in just one team. I invest in my players, and that's why I win championships too. So
So,
Nice.
well, before we get to Poly C real quick here, I just gotta say this real quick. I gotta get this out of my system. So you mean to tell me we go from double doink Chris Collinsworth to another Bengal hiccup in Andy Dalton with the Bears? Two Bengals in the period of 3 years now? Ouch.
Yeah.
I like them apples,
Yeah,
Poly C.
exactly. I don't like him. I don't like him at all. All right, because as a
Red
Bears
Rocket.
fan, yeah, you know what? I think like we talked as soon as this, we heard about it.
I'm like,
I mean, it's not the worst signing, but that would have been Mike Glennon, who was also a Ryan Pace hire. No, I mean, Patrick said it. I mean, this just like the Bulls, until Ted Phillips is out of that position as president of the Bears, they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle as an organization. He has been in charge for over 20 years, and he is the biggest reason they have not succeeded. Hiring GM after GM recently, like you said, Pat. I mean, not since Lovie Smith and basically Jerry Angelo, not since those two guys have this team been relevant. The division fight with the Packers, it's just been one-sided. It's been one-sided since Lovie Smith left. Yeah, you have to win your division. Yeah, you have to win your division in order to obviously have success in the playoffs. And it's just Lovie Smith knew it on day one, and why all these other coaches who've come in haven't figured it out. But having said that, they're in trouble. I mean, they're in trouble. And that's the other thing. Remember Mitch Trubisky? They could have had him for next year. They declined his option at the beginning of the season early last year. So they could have. They wouldn't be in this position if they would have just picked up that fifth-year option. Yeah. So, and you said it, Pat. I mean, they had a much better successful record under Mitch this year than Foles. You could have gone back with both guys, excuse me, and I still would draft a guy in the first round. I think that's what they need to do. I think that's what they need to do more than anything. Take a chance on. Honestly, is a rookie QB going to do any worse than Andy Dalton? It's like, I think it's the ceilings, or how to say, the sky's the limit, for a potential rookie. But I mean, that depends obviously where they want to draft them. I mean, I don't like all the cuts that are happening when they just lost Kyle Fuller. I hear Hakeem Hicks might be on the trade block. Allen Robinson, that's still a huge question mark. Whether or not they're going to use him as as part of a trade package. He decides to sign that franchise tag. I mean, so
I thought they did franchise him.
They did, but he hasn't signed it. He has to sign the tag, and he hasn't signed it yet.
I think he's on his way. He's on his slope down. All his best seasons were behind him when he was in the Jacksonville. So
it's not a bad position to be in, right? He's going to get paid the average salary of the top 5 receivers. So they need him. I mean, the Bears, the schedule is going to be incredibly tough for them next year. They got a murderer's row of teams they're going to be facing. So the offseason still, it's just beginning. But right now, as it stands, I'm nervous for our Bears going forward. That's for sure.
Hey, you know what? I guess it proves once again. I mean, they are who we thought they were, right?
Yeah.
Man,
yeah.
I gotta tell you,
exactly.
I know they were right now. So
I know exactly who they were.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, real quick, Dolan, it's not the worst sign. He's gonna be okay. But I mean, I think it's just a reminder of the huge swing and miss, years ago. I mean, like I said, Ryan Pace, he signed Mike Glennon. He moved up. He traded up, right? Traded up to try to get Mitch. Bringing in Nick Foles. It's like the most important position in football, and he's just swung and missed every time on it. So it's just a constant reminder. So Dolan will be all right. It's just we'll see. I mean, we'll see what they do at this point. New defensive coordinator.
Well, just to recap, going to this year's draft, both the Bears and the Steelers will be each having 8 total draft picks in this year's draft right now. Of course, starting with the Chicago Bears, they'll be 20th overall in the first round. Steelers will be about 4 spots after them at number 24 right now. As we take a look at it right now, as we look at the quarterback market going into this draft right now, too, I mean, I would not be surprised if this is like what it was a few years ago when they got Mike Glennon. I mean, of course, you're not selling this guy to a multi-year contract. This is a low risk, maybe reward with Dalton if it has to be that way. I have no problem with it, but I can't speak for a lot of Chicago fans. But I will say this: when you look at this year's draft, I mean, there's a lot of tackles in this draft, but more particularly with the Chicago Bears. Let's take a look at it right now. Obviously, I don't think they're going to get Trevor Lawrence or Zach Wilson, but you also got guys in here right now. Wonder if the Chicago Bears would try and trade up at all, 10 spots possibly, if doable. You got a guy like Justin Fields right now, Georgia and Ohio State University. I know Ohio State usually doesn't produce a lot of good quarterbacks. We got Justin Fields right there, who's not bad. Trey Lance, North Dakota State right there. And Matt Jones is another one, but the only problem is he's not really that mobile, but he's still somewhere between second and fourth.
Cincinnati were also in this case, but at the end of it all, Galladay taking his talents.
Sorry
about that, guys. But anyway, I mean, what do you guys think of those names right there? Do you guys see the Bears possibly trading up 10 spots to like try and get this corrected? And so I know everybody's got to hold their breath thinking on the quarterback position. But Paul, I'll start with you on this one. I know you like the backhand in my pocket. What do you think? Do you think it's inevitable that they can probably trade up? I mean, you got 8 picks total.
Well, Pace loves to trade up. He's done it a few times. I mean, he traded up for Mitch, like I said. I think he traded up for Leonard Floyd. I think there's someone else he traded up for. So I mean, he's done it in the past. I think it's definitely a possibility. I mean, Pace has proven that if there's someone that he really likes, that he will not hesitate to go out and grab him. So it's definitely a possibility. It would not surprise me if he did it. I think those are the 2 most important positions: is a quarterback and a tackle. I think they let go of Bobby Massey, right? So they need to address the tackle position. I would like them to actually draft the best left tackle, move Leno Jr. over to right, because I think, he'll probably still be around, that or a quarterback. Those are the top 2 positions I think they need to address with those first few picks. I personally wouldn't rather he not trade up, because obviously that would mean he'd be giving up picks to do it. But like you said, he has 8 picks, so maybe he thinks of it. But I would like to, use his a little bit of his scouting savviness to try and at least just get the guy at the right position, because if everything's successful, right, they're going to draft even later next year, right? If they have any more success this year than last year, I don't think they are, but if they were going to, that means they would draft like 22, 24, right? So we'll see. So, but yeah, I definitely think a tackle is what they got to go with, or a quarterback, or either one.
I will add this here as a fair point for you guys to think about for a second. Check this out. I mean, you look at Jerry Angelo, who was probably like the last successful GM with this team, and you look at Ryan Pace. I mean, both of them so far right now being well known for their defense they're building around, especially with Pace over the last few years. I mean, coincidentally, you got Ryan Pace, I mean, making the playoffs, 2 times within 3 years so far, despite being his 7th year as a Bears GM going into the season, if I'm not mistaken, the 7th season. But you had a guy like Jerry Angelo too. His team went to the Super Bowl. He didn't have much luck of quarterback success except for Jay Cutler, but it necessarily did not translate into winning. What do you guys think is the biggest difference between a guy like Angelo and, of course, Pace? Indictments.
Success.
Man, and with Angelo, at least there was identity. There was identity on both sides of the ball. You at least understood they were playing a 3-5 defense. nickel, and then you had an actual offense. So it's like even the Super Bowl year, you had oh my God, what Rex Grossman, 13-3 quarterback. Even Kyle Orton was 13-3. They were legit quarterbacks. The only thing that killed them in that Super Bowl is they went away from their play action, which Grossman is a play action quarterback. That's why they have an identity. So, but the thing is, like, this team now with Pace, I don't know who they are. We don't know what's going on. It's like basically go out and play a scrimmage game. So it's like,
you said it, Pat.
what is the defense?
No, you said it, Pat. I mean, Lovie Smith. I go back to Lovie Smith on that first introductory press conference. He said, "We're going to run the football. I think we're going to play good defense." I think that's what he said. So, and your point, they went to the Super Bowl on that philosophy. And it's like Pace. It just seems like a scattered brain type of strategy where he's literally just like, okay, so the offense is good this year, so I'm going to throw a lot in the offense, or no, we're going to throw our lot in with the defense. I mean, change around the entire scheme, right? The Chicago Bears are now a 3-4 defense. That's still like hard for me to wrap my mind around. Is that so he completely. I don't know when's the last time they were a 3-4 defense, if ever. So. I just think it goes back to the president, Ted Phillips, and his inability. He picked Phil Emery. We should have had Chris Ballard, who's the Colts GM now. So I mean, we could have had Bruce Arians. They chose Rex Gross. I'm sorry, Rex. They chose Mark Trestman over Bruce Arians. I mean, so it's like you can't make this stuff up. So I just think honestly it's just Ryan Pace, it was his first job out because he basically came up in the Saints organization, and it was his first job was with the Bears as the GM. So I don't know. Maybe it's just I just not being able to identify talent. I think just at the executive level, I think is their biggest issue.
At the same time, too, I would also hold Phil Emery accountable for holding that franchise back a few years off, because don't forget, he was also the same GM right there following the conclusion of that epic loss against the Packers right there. Whoever won the division would be in the playoffs in 2013. Day after they get eliminated from the playoffs, he gets a contract extension for like about 6-7 years, like a day or two after that. So let's be fair. I mean, I'm Ryan Pace. I get he struck out so far, but at the same time, too, he also inherited Cutler for at least 1-2 seasons before he was able to try and work and get the thing corrected. So let's not all dump this all on his lap, in fairness, I would say.
No, just really quickly, and then go ahead, Pat. Yeah, I talked. Oh, no.
I was
ahead,
just going to
Pat.
say,
Yeah.
like, the thing is, like, can you hear me? Oh, there's a saying that we always say, like, in jiu-jitsu, right? You're either chasing or you're in control. Pace is chasing. He is not in control. And the fact is, he's going to give up way too much to get a good quarterback or a good draft pick, and that's really going to hurt them even way more down the line. So, honestly, that dude's not in control. The fact that this is his first position, you ever see that meme where it's like when you lie in your resume and it's one of those wiener dogs wearing like a safety vest and he's supposed to be like a canine?
Yeah.
A police, like, so it's like when you lie in your resume. And that's what I think when it comes to Pace is he just really, really good at lying and forging his resume to get that position. And the fact is you need experience when it comes to this, because you're basically controlling the whole franchise. You're picking and how far the future of this whole organization. And honestly, man, they should have went with Bruce when it comes to head coach.
Yeah.
But that's the whole thing. That's when Pace is. It's bad. It's not going to be correct. Give him 6 years before maybe turns around. That's the way I look at it. Because three to fire somebody, and then another 2 to like try to bring it around with draft picks and everything else after all your draft picks have been exalted and all your trades and everything you gave up just to get that draft pick. 6 years. I give them 6 years before they actually start cleaning the house and rebuilding that franchise from scratch. 6 years. And this is being recorded, so when it comes out and things start going better, remember that I said 6 years from now that's what it's going to take.
All right, let's swing things over to like Pittsburgh real quick too. So pretty much in a similar boat like the Bears right now. We see a pandemic year pretty much costing teams at least almost $15.5 million, which should have been 198.3, I want to say, this past year, but it took a significant dip. First time ever in salary cap history. You got the Bears in position right now with a little over $2.7 million in cap space. Steelers 2.2 right now. I know it's been a little bit of a questionable move right now during the offseason. You see Ben Roethlisberger, his agent, Ryan Tollner, be able to go bat for them. Able to take a chance to get a 1 year, basically $14 million contract to stick around. Juju Smith-Schuster right now, a guy who took about $5 million less right now currently so far. He had an opportunity to go with the Kansas City Chiefs, $8 million salary with $3 million in incentives, which would have been up to $11 million. Baltimore Ravens were offering him $9 million with up to $4 million in incentives for 13. We also heard that his agent reached out to Philadelphia Eagles to inquire about him. Not much interest there, but rolling the dice right there on two guys right here. Smith-Schuster is still going to be 1 year, $8 million right now. They're going to ride the waves with them. But right now, I really start to wonder right now, is this going to be Kevin Colbert's last year as Steelers GM? He is going to be extended through at least for the 2022 draft, as is being reported right now. Steelers and Bears, they do face off this year, and it's supposed to be in Pittsburgh this year. Guys, what has been your thoughts looking at the Steelers? I know they had an ugly exit after starting out that 11-0 mark, losing about 5 out of their last remaining 4 out of their last remaining 5 games, I want to say it was. Finish off the season right there and have an ugly loss to the Browns right now, who may be turning the corner in their fortunes. What do you guys think of it as in comparison to the Bears from the outsider's view?
I'll go.
Go ahead.
For me, you're starting to see, I think it's a sad realization for Steelers fans that you have to start preparing for life after Roethlisberger. He's been a great franchise QB for the Steelers for his how many years is it? Over, close to 15, something like that.
His 18th season, but 17.
Yeah, there you go.
Played if you.
Yeah,
the 2019 year he was out for.
Lots of playoff berths, 3 Super Bowl appearances. He's constantly. You've not had to worry about, coming from the Bears fans. You have not had to worry about that position for 18 years. Okay, I cannot tell you what a luxury that is. I think you just Steeler, and Charlie. We always talk about my comment. I'm a huge fan of his. The Steelers, they're going to be all right. They do a great job of finding head coaches. I love Tomlin, and we'll see. I don't know if Mason Rudolph's the answer. I don't know if he's the heir apparent, but you're definitely sooner rather than later. Steelers are gonna look a lot different because they're gonna have to move on from this obviously Hall of Fame quarterback. So.
I think Ben was hurt, honestly. Like, he was masking him being hurt. And that's why the whole offensive started changing towards the last 5 games of the season. I think he was trying to tough it out and just because he was out the year before with his elbow, right? Yeah, the year before he was out with his elbow. And he just wanted to finish strong. And I honestly said, there's something, and he's masking it. Basically, the whole offense was struggling. They were doing so good the first half. No, they're fine. I really think Pittsburgh's fine. I don't really see too much of what they need to make adjustments on, maybe defense, but they should still be in the mix. But that was an illegal hit. That helmet to helmet in that playoff game with Kansas City, that was an illegal hit. Helmet to helmet, and that the Browns should have won that game. But ref didn't call it. We're seeing a change of the helm in Cleveland. That team's found it, man. But now we have Kansas City and the Browns as a rival, But I think that's why Juju signed on for one more year for $8 million, because I think they're going to try to get one more last run out of Ben before he calls it quits. Because he's got a nice resume, dude. He's a Hall of Famer, two-time Super Bowl champ, I believe. I believe he won it in his first or second year. I think it was a rookie year he won a Super Bowl. I believe. Was that right?
Second year. Yeah, we should kind of say like his rookie in a way.
But yeah, so the fact that they beat, was it the Cardinals?
Yeah, the last
in the Super Bowl. Yep. Yeah, the last one was the comeback. To yep. So I think they're gonna make one more run. We see. So I think Cleveland. I think Cleveland's gonna be for Juju sign up only for $8 million because he believes in the system that he's in, and I think they're gonna make a few little adjustments in this free agency, which I'm looking at the list on who signed on, and Galloway just signed with the Giants, so that's a big pickup right there. He left the Lions to go to the Giants, which I think that's a big offensive weapon right there. So yeah, man.
Here's the only thing I will say. Don't get me wrong. I think the Steelers have had tremendous luck in the last 50-plus seasons right now. When you really look at it, 52 seasons, actually, as a matter of fact, where you had 3 coaches. Don't forget, this team was the losingest team for the first 4 decades in their franchise history, being in the NFL league before they moved over to the AFC and the Super Bowl merger right there. So the thing is with Mike Tomlin, listen, I know he has not had a losing season. I get that. And you've been to quite a number of playoff appearances, 3 Super Bowl appearances. All together, or 2, I should say, going 1-1, just like Bill Cowher. But the thing is, I keep hearing this saying a lot of times too, the standard is the standard. Okay, well, my thing is, listen, they have not been relevant a Super Bowl team in the last decade. It's one thing to have these playoff appearances, but there's a lot more quick exits for this team at the same time too. And when you look at overall as a history right now. So, I look at a guy like Cowher right there too. He's had his struggles in the playoffs, but, he's only had 2 one-and-dones, 7 straight years where he's went 1-1. Granted, he's 2-4 in the AFC Championship game. A lot of people will not forget that. But the problem is, every time you're going these 8-8 records, you're not really gaining position in like a decent spot in the draft much to really add some key pieces. My question and concern is with him, as much as I appreciate the guy, I'm not saying he's going to get fired, but I think at some point that's going to start getting old news where it's like, well, he has not had a losing season. At some point, you got to start asking yourself, when are you going to get better? Because this defense has been horrific. And the last time he's had a good defense, I'll probably go back to the Dolphins game in the 2017 wildcard game, the very first round. They had good defense against the Chiefs, but ever since then, averaged close to about 40 points a game against the Patriots in the AFC Championship game, the Jaguars, and now the Browns. To that, you guys say what? That great defense is like having Peyton Manning do great in the regular season, but what you guys show for in the playoffs recently? No respect.
We talked about this before, man. Where I know you like to hold Cowher up for having a lot more success. Dude, 15 years, man. That's how long he had to have that same amount. How long has Tomlin been on the job? What?
He's gonna be in his 15th season right now. 15th.
Okay, so they're honestly. And they have the same, right? They have the. You just said it. They have the. They're both 1-1. At the end of the day, it's I think they got a heck of a head coach, and the Rooneys. They give head coaches just long opportunities, right? This is only the 3rd head coach in their entire history. So, it's hard to win the Super Bowl, and the Steelers have the second. They're tied for the most Super Bowls out of any other franchise. So it kind of, I don't know, man. Kind of sounds like you're crying with 2 loaves of bread under your arms.
I think at the same time too, you gotta look at it this way, where it's someone like the Lakers in basketball, or even like maybe like the Spurs. I mean, once you start getting accustomed to winning success, I mean, you gotta start holding yourself up to a measuring stick of like who you are recently. The fact of the matter is, they have never gotten as far as the AFC Championship game since their last Super Bowl appearance only one time, and that was against the Patriots in 2017, where Le'Veon Bell would get hurt during that game, exit out with injured groin. I'm just saying at the same time, we get that. But at some point, as a Steeler fan in that community and as an organization, not everybody's going to want to be in the mood for always celebrating division titles. I mean, yeah, you have like arguably the third most playoff appearances as an NFL franchise, but at some point, you got to start holding yourself to a standard. Where are they getting back to promise where they want to be? But to be honest with you right now, I got to tell you, this year's draft, I'm looking at a running back right now. Hopefully it's Najee Harris of Alabama or Travis Etienne right now. I mean, question is, will they be able to trade up in the draft? But anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and cut off right there. I just wanted to say thank you guys once again for joining me here on this Sunday edition. 2 very great guys right here, gentlemen. Feel free to check out my guy on the right here, Pat, right there. Once again, you can check him out on Instagram, where he's mainly at. You can follow him at Pattern, PATERNP_Chi-Town, and check out where he trains at 10th Planet Chicago right there. MMA Academy right there. He performs right there. Very great competitor right there, winning multiple belts. And of course, my guy, as you recognize him from the host of the Fans Corner, K-Man the Mike, Paulie C. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Paulie C. 47. Guys, I can't thank you enough for this time right here. Great way to celebrate a terrific weekend right here. And I got to be honest with you, this movie definitely made me amped up, and nothing more like talk one of my favorite sports, football, with you guys too.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure and an honor to be on there and talk about sports and movies and comics in general, because that's how I live my life. The only thing I was missing was coffee.
We'll see if we can figure something out about that next time right here.
No problem.
No, yeah,
Thank you
just
for having me.
thanks for having me, Charlie. Appreciate it. And Pat, it was very nice meeting you, man. And hopefully you get to do it again shortly.
All right, gentlemen, you guys take care.
For sure, man. Or
Safe,
whatever, man. We can always do this, and you're more than welcome to come down. You too,
Definitely,
Charles.
I appreciate that.
Thank
you,
you,
guys.
Guys, continue to be safe, well, and please watch out during these times and have a great upcoming Easter holidays. Guys, I can't thank you guys enough. Gentlemen, be in touch. Take care. All right, that's going to draw for a close for this edition here of the Mass Steel podcast. You just heard right there, Steelers and Bears, 8 draft picks apiece right now going to the 2021 draft. I would definitely like the Steelers would have to think on a run game, then a few offensive linemen right here. Got a loaded amount of tackles in here, and possibly you may have to look at an inside linebacker or an edge rusher, probably within your first 3 picks. We'll find out how that unfolds. But right now, we're going to draw to a conclusion right now. I mean, Bud Dupree right now with the Tennessee Titans. And then, of course, you got one other guy who's with the Chargers. But other than that, I mean, it's definitely been a dreadful free agency, to say the least, for the Steelers so far. When you look at the transactions, I mean, everyone that they lost, 11 starters altogether that were re-signed with 20 on the practice squad, 5 on defense and 6 on offense right now. And those guys that have been signed on defense, of course, you would have defensive tackle and defensive end. Cam Hayward, remember, he converted his salary roster bonus to a $9.4 million signing bonus right there. You would also have here on this list right now, linebacker Robert Spillane signing a 1-year contract with the Steelers for $850,000. Cam Sutton signing a 2-year, $9 million contract, including $3.5 million signing bonus. Steelers putting 3 voidable years on the end of his contract, meaning his cap hit in 2021 will be $1.7 million, according to Spotrac right there. It will void if he is on the roster 5 days after the Super Bowl at the end of the 2022 season, which would be in 2023. You also had Vince Williams. He was released, clearing up $4 million of cap space. Defensive tackle, I was surprised on this one. Chris Wormley signing a 2-year, $4.5 million contract. I'm not sure about that one right there, but that's pretty much what he got. But like I said, biggest news from the offensive signing. I mean, listen, big shout out to, like, earlier last week, tackle Zach Banner signing a 2-year, $9.5 million contract. This guy came off a serious injury last year. Glad to see him getting our crack right now at the tackle position. Question is, will be left or right tackle? We'll find out. Juju Smith-Schuster signed a 1-year, $8 million contract on Friday. Remember, rejecting a maximum of $5 million combined from the Chiefs and the Ravens. Basically. So you look at it right here, to stick around for $5 million less. It says a lot. 1-year, $8 million deal. Once again, that's going to draw for a conclusion here with the Man of Steel podcast. Once again, you guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Prodigy Richie. For the Man of Steel podcast on Twitter, it is at Man of Steel CJR, at Man of Steel Nation on Instagram. As I leave you, don't be trolling, be rolling. Here we go, serious. Here we go. I gone.